Welcome to Design Dash, a bite sized talk series where we get into the good stuff marketing meets creativity and how AI is shaking things up in design.
Hi everyone, welcome back to season 2 of Design Dash. My name is Aiqa, brand growth and marketing specialist at Venngage. And together with me today, we have Nair, marketing lead at Venngage, as well as Nadia Fernandez, founder of La Isla Design and LinkedIn carousel designer.
Hey guys.
Hi.
So for today's topic, we are talking about profit versus principle, or in other words, efficiency versus authenticity. So Jay and I recently went for a design and tech conference, and what I noticed from that was a very clear divide in sentiment between big corporations using AI to scale and improve their productivity versus independent consultants and designers who are a little bit more wary of using AI and are more loud in defending the taste and human creativity that's involved in their projects. So I would like to ask both of you from your different perspectives. Let's start with Jay. From your corporate seat, what is your take on this subject?
Coming from Vengage's point of view, it's more the age old saying like work smart instead of working hard. Even when a team had the idea to create a ton of AI tools or AI design tools, it wasn't to do the whole job. It was to ease designers, ease marketers into getting 50% at least of the work done and then applying their own creativity in it. When you talk about productivity, I don't think AI is going to be the one that, does all the work for you and you're just sitting there being a prompt master and saying like, okay, do this, create this, design this, and I want it to look like this. It's going to do half the job of the framework for you and you are making the stuffing, if that makes
Making the
sense.
stuffing.
Yeah.
I like that analogy. So what kind of ways would you say are the best when it comes to incorporating AI in our company?
So workflows for one, because we have so many different tasks. And as a marketer, like we wear different hats each time. You want to make sure the workflow getting from A to B to C and the final output is there. If we could automate that. And I think we've done a pretty good job trying to do that with our tools. And secondly, I think it's just giving enough room for people to still have that control where they could edit stuff. Because I think a lot of us, we are content creators at heart. As much as we want the AI to do everything, we still want our trademark on it, So the freedom to still have our own say, our own trademark, our own creativity, to still say like, while I used AI, look what I created with it. I did this, I spun this. Yeah.
So as a marketing lead, Jay, how do you see productivity within the team improving when we are championing AI and we are highly encouraged to use AI as a tool in our work?
So a few ways. For example, I'll speak personally first and then I'll talk about how the team does it. So for me, when it comes to content, when it comes to blog writing, for example, in my previous jobs, I used to sit down and create content pillar, goals, vision, and so on for the article, and then come up with all the content clusters that we want under it. But honestly, with AI, it just takes me 2-3 minutes to just say, okay, this is the goal, this is what I want to do, and then it gives me the outline. And then with the team, what I do is I give the outline. For example, our content strategist, I give her like, this is what we want to achieve. Can you go and do a little bit more research and see how we can expand on this topic and so on? She uses AI, and then whatever topics or whatever points that comes up, she does a Google search or other research on it, and it comes back. So that whole process, which used to take, I think a lot of content writers, content marketers can attest to this, that whole process used to take a minimum, maybe a week or a few days, is now just taking us maybe a day. And then when it comes to communicating with designers, for example, if I'm looking at a design or I'm looking at a brief of a project that we want to release, partnership, for example, and I want to look and feel for this partnership because of the topic. For example, if the topic is AI and design or the topic is AI and SEO, then there's two distinct looks that we want for that. So I usually try to, my first aim always will go on Pinterest, but I don't know how to articulate that to the designer. So I would usually ramble on ChatGPT or Gemini, and then they'll tell me, okay, this is how you explain it to a designer. And I think that has really reduced the back and forth of the design itself and the outputs that we get. So yeah, those are just some of the ways that we've been using it. It's definitely improved and increased like the amount of stuff that we can do in a quarter, like in a month. We can handle more projects because of this.
Next, I would like to get Nadia's side of the coin. So, from your perspective, how do you see balancing AI as a founder of your own company, and trying to still have a sense of authenticity in your work? Do you use a lot of AI in your work, or do you steer very clear away from it? How is your relationship with AI?
Most of what Jay was mentioning, I think, is also something we can apply to solopreneurs, freelancers, or small companies, right? Small agencies. Basically, finding ways of being more productive. AI is definitely one of the main tools that will help with that. The fact where Jay was mentioning, hey, something that was taking a whole week to put together, I can do it now in a couple of minutes. It's the same here. In website work, for example, instead of going manually, page by page, section by section, I can already get a wide or broader view much quicker and then take it from there and then give it my personal perspective. I don't want to make AI the main character. I want to make sure that it's as human as possible. Yes, answering your question, I heavily use AI. To me, it's a starting point. Starting and cleaning up point for me. I can start with AI, give me a clear view, filter everything I need or I don't need, or filter the important keywords for a website, key points for a content project, and make sure I work around that. And then I'll apply everything from my end and make sure that I can clean it up later. We want to make sure that the result is not it doesn't have the AI look, especially as a designer. We keep an eye out for all of that. And I personally want to stay away. Some people don't. Some people is actually looking for it because maybe corporations or bigger companies are making this a whole theme now. But as, working on my own and just working with smaller companies, I feel like the human touch is still requested, is still valued, and is still there. And I think over time, the only thing that's going to happen, that human touch might go up in value, which I don't want to, I do see it right now, but I think it's just going to go up and up.
Yeah. So there is certain pressure in the design industry where there are some stats that state that designers are losing gigs because of these emerging AI tools. There's one study that said 17% of a decrease in job posts for graphic design and 3D modeling after the release of image generation tools. From your perspective, how would you approach this sort of pressure for solopreneurs, independent designers who have to deal with this sort of struggles?
I feel the pressure. It's there, and I don't think I'm the only one. But I also think it's going to have some waves into it just because, okay, in my personal life, talking to people around me, right, in a small town or even in a small country, people are not technically forward as they are in different countries. So when they find out about AI, it's like, wow, like this robot thing that is going to fix all my issues, right? And I see it every day. So they're just jumping in on the AI wave today as we speak. So for them, they're going to be the ones. "Oh, so now I can get rid of this person because AI can do it. I'm going to get rid of this other person because AI will do it." But they just jumped in, right? I want to say that who has been there for longer, we've realized that, oh, wait a second. I can't rely fully on this because then I'm going to look like everyone else. So I see and I feel the pressure exactly as you're explaining it because, yeah, I can definitely see a decrease. I can see people running out of projects. But I think at a certain point when AI is universally or globally normalized, everything is going to come back to be a little bit more normal and people are going to start looking for, okay, wait, I look just like my competition now. We're both using the same tool. I might need to hire someone to make sure I do this correctly, I use it correctly, or I edit it correctly. We're talking about tools that are not more than 2 years old. So everything has happened now. It's like a bubble that just popped, and not everyone has jumped in it yet. So the moment everyone does and is being normalized, I think we're going to start to see the real stats. Where is people out of jobs, or are jobs kind of coming back, but in a different way?
Yeah, it is a wild west right now, and we just have to sort of wait it out and let it climatize itself and see,
Yeah.
where we go from there. Okay, so I would like to ask both of you a few questions before we wrap up. So in terms of strategy, where does AI actually save you hours of time this week? And be specific. So Jay, maybe we can start off with you. How has AI saved you hours in your task this week?
To be very specific, so for my content writing stuff is in the content strategy, content outlines. I get AI to really get the full-blown thing, and then I just do the checks. So I'm reducing potentially 3-4 days worth of work, and then I'm just doing the checks, which probably takes like a couple of hours just to make sure everything's neat and tight. And then in terms of communicating with designers, product teams on how to tighten up scopes, tighten up visuals, and so on. For example, a project could go on for a week back and forth to say, oh, I want it this way, I want it this way. But now I could just use AI to say, okay, help me communicate this to my designer. I want this aesthetic and I want this visual to tell this story. And then it just tells me exactly how to communicate that, because I think some of the flaws that I have, and I think many marketers might as well, is like how you articulate your needs to a designer so that they understand what you actually need, rather than them getting also frustrated. That has reduced back and forth a lot. It's for design strategy, visuals, and content strategy.
What about you, Nadia? Where has AI saved you hours this week?
To be honest, on website work. I know it's outside of content creation. Basically crawling a previous website from a client and making sure I can point out what's working, what's not, the keywords that are missing or are, overused. Making a good project guideline with AI has saved me hours, because before I would have to possibly use maybe external tools that I would have to, run manually and filter manually. And this is saving me a lot of time so that I can actually go in and start the work. So that's been, especially this week, that's been a highlight.
Nice. Okay. In terms of risk, if Nadia, we can start with you. Can you name one risk you've seen when using AI and how you have approached this challenge?
Well, okay, now we tend to write our proposals and everything with AI, right? We know it's going to be thorough, it's going to be detailed. I think a certain point that is a very big risk. I've seen it from my end thinking, oh, okay, this is good, I'm going to send it. But then I sit back, read it, and say, if I'm on their end, if I received this, I know there was no work, no time put into this, no effort. This was just clearly copy paste. I think the risk is trusting it 100% and copy pasting, no matter the field, no matter what you're using it for. That copy paste is dangerous.
What about you, Jay?
I think based on what Nadia said, when I'm using ChatGPT, I constantly have to tell it, like, be real with me, stop agreeing with me. And because it keeps just going back, you're absolutely right. That's a great point. And I don't need an ego boost. I literally have to tell it, like, play devil's advocate with me and take this work. It gets intense sometimes, but it really gets
It gets
you
intense
to
having
see.
arguments with your
It gets
LLM.
intense. Yeah, it gets intense. I rather the LLM tell me than me having this content piece or design piece that out there, and then someone saying, hey, this looks like so and so's work, or hey, this really sounds like AI, or this is inaccurate. That's I think it's a marketer's nightmare or a PR girl's nightmare for that to be out there. So I rather the LLM crush my ego first.
Now that Jay said that, I had a funny moment this week where I always, once I'm done with Carousel, I always run it through AI or through ChatGPT, and I ask, hey, so this is the topic, this is my goal, this is the end result, what do you think? And so far, it has always been telling me, oh, yeah, this is great, but this is how you can improve. And sometimes it gives me ideas and I'm like, oh, that's a good one. But then this week, there was one piece of work that I ran through AI. And I got back this celebratory moment from ChatGPT that I've never seen before. Gave me a whole 5-star, some confetti and stuff saying, this is your best work to date.
No
Okay.
way.
Like,
Oh,
I was
That's
looking
really
around like,
cool.
anyone see this? It was so random, but I was like, either you got an update overnight and we don't know about this, or thank you. I don't know. So yeah, now that you mentioned
Were
that,
there
I got
literal
that.
confettis coming on screen? What was happening?
Yeah. So I looked around and I tried to like refresh to see if it happens again. I wanted to show my husband, but no, it didn't happen again.
Okay, one more question before we end the episode. I would maybe like to direct this to Nadia as a designer. How do you avoid a polished but soulless AI look when doing your design?
I love that question.
Not creating it with AI. That's how I avoid it.
Ouch.
That would be the best solution, definitely.
I
yeah.
mean, yeah, if I want to avoid it, yes, I just straight up don't use it. Okay, no. So how I would avoid it as a designer, if I still use it, I would basically use elements that come from AI. I wouldn't use a creation as a whole that comes from AI. So I wouldn't ask AI to build the end result for me, but I would ask AI to build maybe that specific avatar that I need or the specific background that I'm looking for or an icon that I need. So I would ask AI to create everything separately. Is the only way, because otherwise you are going to have that AI look no matter what.
Yeah, I think that's a really smart strategy. Yeah, when you prompt it to do different things and then you assemble it into what you want
Yes.
to cue, right? And that's the
Yeah.
safest way for you not to get something that's a complete copy paste and is going to look very similar to your neighbor's work as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that wraps up today's episode. Thank you so much, guys, for all your input. So I think the summary here is that both corporates and independent workers are using AI in their work for productivity, for project management, for content strategy, and not necessarily the task that really requires our human intervention where it comes to concept, brand approach, how we deal with other human beings. Yes, we can use AI to prompt certain communication ideas, but it really is very important for us to be the middle person in these decision making. With that, we're going to wrap up episode 1 of season 2, and we will see you guys in the next round. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks
Bye.
for watching.